Ooh, hi. 'Cause for the first time in this evening,
Okay, I need control room.
the listeners will hear us speak. Or actually sing in my case.
Hey everybody, we're still getting some stuff worked out here. And if you're concerned, yes, I'm back on the measly little computer.
Measly. It's got the measles. Is that what that means?
That's measles.
Oh.
Messelton.
Messelton.
Let's see if I can fix that flicker, though.
Hey guys, you can answer in the chat. I want to know, does this make any sense at all? It is a picture. It's a picture. Does a picture make any sense? No, it's an ad I saw for Red Bull, and the big words were, next time you hit the wall, hit back.
That's what people who drink Red Bull do.
But if I'm the one who hit the wall, how do I hit back? I feel like I'm the one who hit the wall. Are you telling the wall to hit back? Except you said next time you hit the wall. So are you warning me next time you hit the wall, it will hit back? I don't understand.
Hit the wall, hit back.
You don't hit back. Like if I hit you right now, who needs to hit back, you or me?
Me.
Right. So no one would say to me, the next time you hit Daniel, hit back. What? Hit myself? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, right.
I feel like they were on way too much Red Bull or something else when they wrote that.
If you read it really fast like you're on Red Bull, maybe it makes more sense.
Maybe.
Next time you hit a wall, hit back. Yeah, see, it makes perfect sense then. First time in forever.
My nose does not need to be blown.
For the first time in forever.
I can breathe right on my own.
Oh, nice. We're just waiting for Erin to join us again, or join us back.
Join us back.
Because she was having some tech issues as well as
she was having some tech issues. Some tech issues.
When you hit a wall,
hit back.
Turn around and go the other way. Because there's a wall in front of you.
When you hit a wall, say you're sorry and give it a hug.
Yeah. Unless it's a flat, completely big flat wall that you can't reach around. Have you ever tried to hug a flat surface? It's kind of hard.
Actually, I think I probably have.
It's more like just lying down on it.
So I was taking pictures of my nephew rapidly, and he was shaking his head and being a goofball. He's 10 months old, and I have some drunk baby pictures.
Well, yeah, you showed me.
I showed you?
On Sunday.
Okay, I felt like I did, but then I was like, when would I have seen you?
And I says to him, I got your nose. Did you see that meme photo I made for Jared on Facebook?
No.
I'm not sure if you were there in time to hear Jared say this often, but Jared, it was Jenny's post about men not cooking much, and so that when I cook here at home, it's like a super treat.
Yes, I did see it.
And Jared was offended by that.
Right.
He was like, oh, it's too stereotypical for this. So did you see my meme photo?
It's funny because that's usually my line, but I did not take Jenny's post that way.
Did you see my meme photo?
Yeah, but I forget what it was.
It was the picture of the whatever vodka or rum guy or something. But he says, I do not usually get on Facebook, but when I do, it's to get offended at sweeping generalizations.
Right.
Because that's what he would always talk about. Jared would always talk about, you can't just make a sweeping generalization like that.
Oh, right. Now it's even funnier. Sweeping. Did you, speaking of seeing things, I created a shared photo stream,
Yeah, I saw that.
a little time lapse video.
I keep snoozing it. Oh, Aaron, you're muted, but oh, wait, maybe I have to unmute you. Yeah, I think I'm muted. Or I've got it set to unmute you or mute you when you join. Anyway, let me unmute you.
You're unmuted. I've got it set to mute your photo. Oh, camera's out of focus? Is that a thing?
No, it's not out of focus. It's just we're live streaming in really low quality.
I thought that might be the case. 'Cause for the time
Aaron, I think the problem is it's not detecting your microphone. Click on the gear icon and make sure that the USB microphone is detectable in there, like as your input device. If your USB mic is not listed there, then what you might need to do is quit the browser, unplug your mic, plug it back in, and then start the browser again. Let me see if I can unmute Hunter. This is just a test, Hunter. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, yeah, so that does work. I can mute and unmute, but I can't unmute Aaron. So Aaron, it's something on your side. Might be that connection. I really hope by next week I have my computer again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my computer isn't the fault of Aaron's issues.
Arendelle.
Yeah.
Wait, where'd she go? She's been very quiet.
She's disconnected now. Oh, she's been muted, and we couldn't get her unmuted.
That's weird.
Yep. For the first time in forever.
Podcasters aren't really people.
Well, I'm going to toss that up there so I can keep an eye on it, but I'm going to adjust.
Please don't toss up. So this episode was called The Snow Queen.
Yes.
It's quite on the nose, is it not?
Yeah.
It's like, what do we call this one, guys? Something clever. So the Snow Queen. Okay, that's fine.
Well, while we are waiting for Aaron, I will see if
I can't figure out if that's some kind of play on words. It seems like it is not, but it often is. A lot of the titles this season actually are kind of like, yep, that's what we did, and that's what we call it.
Well, was there Rocky Road ice cream in the episode Rocky Road?
Sure. I said a lot. I didn't say every one.
Okay, let's see.
Yes, Nike.
Aaron is here again.
Aaron, call her the correct thing.
Her. Yes, WWO, it's too late. I mean, you can share your theories with the chat room right now, but it's too late to include in the podcast. It's not working. Aaron, what you might just need to do is, and maybe you already did this, but maybe you just need to fully reboot your computer.
Reboot it. Reboot it.
And she's gone. So maybe that's what she's doing. Radioactive. Radioactive. Radioactive.
The question is, which version is stuck in your head? Pentatonics, I hope.
There's more than one version of that song?
Well, they're not the ones who did it originally.
Oh, who did originally?
Forget.
Hmm.
But their version is way more fun. I've heard the other one on the radio.
Is the other one played like with a harpsichord or something? That's an instant way to ruin any song. Oh, I hate
What?
the harpsichord.
Oh, Imagine Dragons.
Okay.
No, I'm not telling you to. I'm saying
okay.
That's who did the original.
And then who did the one I was just humming?
Apparently Lindsey Sterling and Pentatonics.
Lindsey Sterling is the violinist, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And who are the pentatonics?
Did you do that on purpose?
Who are the tentacles?
Did you do that on purpose? I must know.
No.
Oh my gosh. That's basically how Miranda says it. She's Pentatonics.
I don't know anymore if I did it on purpose.
Pentatonics.
I didn't say it like that intentionally, but I did kind of stumble over it intentionally.
Funny, it's not the one that I was thinking of. Somehow I knew they did it, but it's not the video that I was thinking of. So what song was I thinking of?
Isn't that the IE commercial song?
No.
Oh, it sounds a lot like it. Is it by the same guy?
One. No, but I know which one you're thinking of.
Sounds like that.
Oh gosh, how did that one go? Oh yeah. Oh, I know why you. Oh, that's good.
Maybe we should do an episode where it's just what I think they're saying.
Right.
I knew you were Bubble when you walked in. Or like my interpretation of what the music means. And then what the artist apparently meant it to mean based on the music video. Which is often completely different from what I thought. Where to put this one? Where to put this one? Doggone it! Okay, let's see if she's back. She's back. And she is still muted. Let me try this. Maybe this is... Okay, it's still keeping you muted. As guest joins, hide there. Maybe that'll do it.
Why can't I find this? Is this it?
Aaron,
Yeah, that's it.
leave the Hangout and then join it again. I'm sorry about this delay, guys.
Oh my gosh, I think it worked.
Yay! Okay.
Whoa.
Note to self, never check that box again. It was my fault.
Never, ever write a song about the civvy.
There's an option in Google Hangouts that says, as guests join, hide their audio and video from my broadcast, yes or no? I chose yes. And I thought I'd be able to unmute you. Apparently not.
You know what? My computer probably needed a reboot anyway, so
Probably.
it pretty much needs one every 45 seconds. So okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A restart a day keeps the IT guy away.
A what?
I don't know. I just made that up.
A restart a day keeps the IT guy away.
Scene. Oh, it was interrogation.
You know what
the
else keeps
is
the
this?
IT guy away? Having a computer that works.
Oh, I thought you were going to say.
Which is usually a Mac.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Noted. I'm working on it, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I almost went, because I am away now for almost 3 weeks, I almost went and just bought a computer because I did not want to fight with this thing while I'm on vacation.
Oh, I know what you feel. If
But then I couldn't do that because I'm not ready to buy a I don't want to buy a dumb computer, so.
If I had $100 for every time in the last month and a half that I've thought of buying a new computer,
You would be a millionaire?
I would have enough money to buy a new computer.
You just got yours fixed, didn't you?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, but
Noted.
they put the wrong part in.
Oh.
And so the thought was take it back the day after we did our podcast last week. And I thought it would be back by today. No, it's not. So I'm still on Jenny's. Okay. Let me just let Jenny know we're starting, and then we'll start.
That is not the song I thought that was. That's really weird.
Okay. We are starting. Yikes. Half an hour late.
Sorry, everyone.
It was my fault.
It was Daniel's fault. Just kidding. I mean, yes, but it was. But anyway, cool.
Okay, Aaron, start your recording.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
All right. And we are.
And we're recording. Okay. Didn't feel normal about that. I think that I don't remember you making the announcement that we were recording.
I just started it.
Okay, so I just want to make sure. We've redone at least 10 minutes of an episode in the early days. Remember that. Out, it was too horrible.
It was, I think we lost power. And either Erin couldn't make it that night, and she could make it the night we redid it, or she made it on the night we lost power and couldn't make it the next night we redid it. And or maybe it was Jenny, or something like that.
I was gonna say, I feel like I either wasn't involved or I have this super vague memory that I did a podcast that was never released for some reason, and then you guys redid it though, without me. Or
we just really didn't like what you had to say that night.
Or was it that you did one and it didn't work for some reason, and then I was present for the redo?
That might be it.
Because I feel like it was a Wonderland, and I sent in some stuff because I couldn't be there.
That's right.
And I kind of liked how it came out, but then it turned out I was in the podcast after all.
Yeah, I think that we lost power that night, and it stayed out all night.
Yeah. It was a big storm because I was on with you, and then it just everything dropped.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't remember.
Okay. So
Okay.
let's
This
start one.
podcast.
Yes. Here we go. Oh, and unfortunately, no live sounds in this.
Okay.
So play dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Once, episode 169, The Snow Queen. Welcome back to another episode of Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show, Once Upon a Time. I'm Daniel J. Lewis.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin.
I'm Erin.
And we are happy to have you joining us to talk about this episode. And we've included some of your feedback in this as we discuss the episode, The Snow Queen. Now, before we talk about this episode, keep in mind the next episode of Once Upon a Time, which will be the 8th episode, airing on Sunday, November 14th. No, whoops. Keep in mind that the next episode of Once Upon a Time, the 8th episode, airing on Sunday, November 16th, will be a 2-hour-long episode. It starts at the normal time, 8/7 Central, but it will be 2 hours long, at least 2 hours long. So if you're doing any kind of DVR or anything like that, make sure that you extend it out a few extra minutes just in case there's a little bit extra content, because we've seen some weird things that some listings have said it goes until like 10:01. So just make sure you cover that, cover your bases, and we'll have our podcast discussion about that as normal. But our live initial reactions will then be an hour later than normal, still 15 minutes after the episode. Keep that in mind. That's November 16th, and then no episode of Once Upon a Time on the following week, which would be November 23rd. That's the American Music Awards and the Sunday before Thanksgiving. And then it picks up on the Sunday after that. Keep those things in mind. I'll give you some more announcements later on. But let's jump into talking about this episode, The Snow Queen. Starting out here in this scene, I think looking at the different sisters, it seemed like Gerda is kind of the optimist, the youngest little girl. You know, oh, the kite's broken, but the ribbons will look great in our hair.
Right. She's also the littlest liar.
Yeah.
Like, we found it this way. It was already ripped, for sure. We were just flying it ripped.
I don't think they were flying it, though. I thought that, too, the first time I watched it, but then I thought they were just chasing it.
That would make...
I think the guy was flying it to, like, lure children to him.
Interesting, because there was a moment where they're running, and I'm like, oh, they're flying a kite, and then one of them said, Ingrid, it drifted this way, and I was like, well, you're flying it. What's your problem?
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense now, because the guy was holding the string.
Oh.
And
Whoa.
then, yeah, when it crashed, I don't think they said you ripped it. They said, look, it's ripped.
Yeah.
Mind equals blown.
Man, I totally misjudged Gerda. I'm sorry, little girl.
That is why that's why I do a rewatch. I know you guys did one too, but that was one of the things I noticed in the rewatch, but not in the first.
How funny.
Watch.
I did think they picked the perfect young actress to play Ingrid.
Yeah, she did a good job.
And I think something maybe they do. I can't tell if they really do it this way, but I think when they pick a child to play a younger version of someone, it seems like the two work together and mimic each other a little bit. Because I felt like Elizabeth Mitchell made some faces that girl makes during this episode a little bit.
More so than, like, not normal Elizabeth Mitchell faces?
Maybe. I can't think of any specific examples. The funny thing is, I couldn't figure out until almost the end of the rewatch why I was so familiar with that girl. She was in last season of The Walking Dead. Funny thing is, there's something, I won't give spoilers, but there were some funny things about her character that when I contemplated them, they made her an even more perfect actress to play young Ingrid. But they didn't really show many of those qualities while she was that young in this show.
Her Walking Dead character?
Yeah, that girl had some issues. I can totally see her growing up to be the Snow Queen. When I think about that character is what made it really funny for me when I realized who she was.
Oh.
I don't know if they picked her because of that, and they're like, wow, she does innocent and psychotic all at the same time really well, or...
Maybe we'll see her again in a later episode where she
Maybe.
has to be a little bit more
Except that she didn't really turn that way until later.
true.
Which, come
But
to
yeah,
think of it, we still haven't really seen that turn happen for Ingrid, have we?
The
no,
turn
not really.
from
From,
nice to evil?
yeah, because she still was fine even when you know, when the accident happened.
She was probably conscious during the whole time that she was in that urn, just not able to
Mm,
do anything. And being conscious for that long
mm.
gives someone some disdain. Because,
Existing as milk. I
like,
mean,
look at when Elsa came out of the urn back at the end of season 3.
she made ice and blew it up.
Yeah, she blew it up because she was upset at it. It's like, ugh, I'm so happy to be out of that thing.
Well,
Why would she be if she never felt being inside of it?
yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Like
but
she
she,
like if not for her knowing that time passed, she should have like the Snow Queen when she got out of the urn, she would have been still kind of like hysterical for her sister's death and hysterically trying to convince her other sister that she was fine,
Right.
that it was an accident. So
Yeah, it's different from Pandora's box that they put Pan in and Henry accidentally, where they were not conscious of what was going on outside of the box or of their own passing of time. This was different.
yeah.
yeah, and I think it was, yeah, Ingrid kind of alluded to the idea that she knew that she had spent. I mean, she said something about if anyone knows you don't want to spend a long time in that urn, it's me, something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because she felt it. I've noticed it seems like it's always the firstborn that gets the magic. Now that we have the birth order correct, or I have the birth order correct, then we see that here, Ingrid is the firstborn, she got magic. Emma is firstborn, she got magic. Elsa, firstborn, she got magic.
Maybe that's why Rumpelstiltskin likes firstborns.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And that is something significant about like that's something very specific about Rumpelstiltskin is that he's always after firstborns, not just babies.
Zelina, firstborn, she had magic, stronger magic than Regina.
Stronger.
Regina had
That's
to
true.
learn
That's true.
magic. Zelina was born with magic
Mhm.
because she did a whole baby kung fu thing on that tree that one time.
Baby.
Why couldn't Ingrid not take that memory away? No, just kidding. How did the little death scene feel to you with the branch and the ice and the?
I felt like that whole scene, like basically they summed up the entire message of Frozen, like the entire movie, in what, like 2.5 minutes. They very quickly got from, oh, we love each other. Oh, he's going to hurt us. Oh, I hurt him. Oh, it was an accident. Everyone's going to hate me. Oh, but we're sisters. We'll help you control it. The end. We'll live happily ever after.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Um,
There was something about the logistics of the killing. I was like, that was a really violent kick.
Yeah.
I totally thought her ice was going to hit him and kill him, but then the branch gets hit and it falls on him, but he just sort of stands there to kills him. And I'm just envisioning more like, couldn't the ice like hit him? And then while he's laying there about to die, he goes, "You're a monster." And
Well, the producers may have thought about the logistics of that. And this guy is holding both of her sisters. So because she was kicked back, she was naturally kind of pointed up with her hands, not down toward him.
Well, but her hands could have been anywhere. But
yeah, but it made more sense, I think, with physics and everything for it to happen like this.
I guess the pause for him to say it, though, he still should have uttered it while he was dying, not said it while he waited for the branch to fall.
Yeah,
I think
it was
just a
really
pro tip,
fast.
guys. That one's free.
Yeah, that was a very violent, creepy scene, which like it did set up everything we needed to know very quickly, but it was, a little creepy, a little violent, especially when you know that the kite was actually being like luring them.
Yeah, he's like another Pied Piper, but not as menacing as Peter Pan. Time out here.
Hmm.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm hearing us.
Yeah. Aaron, did you see my note in the chat?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, can you turn your headphone volume down a little bit? Is that
Sure.
Oh, is that what
possible?
that is?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Okay, my headphone volume is down as low as it can go.
Okay.
How
Can you
low
still
can you
hear us?
go?
Can you still hear us?
Oh, I can still hear you. Sorry, I thought you were hearing me.
Oh, you thought he was asking me. Well, no, I think the answer for you is yes, and the answer for me is no. So I think that means
Okay.
we're good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see how that question applied to both. Okay. Thanks.
Communication is fun.
All right. Skipping that scene because nobody had anything to say. At the birthday party, there's a nice little nod to Frozen here. I'm not sure if you noticed this, and I didn't think about it until I saw it. This was at the father's 70th birthday party. Old guy. And he didn't look, a day over 60. But he turned 70. They're having this party for him. There's a band there, and the camera starts by showing the guy playing the tuba, and he's got this kind of funny expression on his face when he's playing the tuba. I watched part of Frozen today looking for a screenshot of something, and I realized that's the exact same way that the party starts in Frozen.
Really?
Elsa's coming out
Oh.
party.
Oh,
It starts out with the camera on the tuba player,
interesting.
and then it zooms out and it shows the little band there, and it was the same band here, basically.
But that room was not the ballroom, was it?
It is basically.
Well, okay. It looked more like the library where Anna ran and jumped into all the paintings and things like that.
Hang in there, Joan.
Right. The reason I bring it up specifically is because I suddenly realized this is the same castle, and I started to notice little things like in the girls' room, it's the same wallpaper pattern
Oh, nice.
as in Anna's room in the movie. I tried to, I looked a little bit. It doesn't look like they've got the room exactly the same, but they put in a lot of details that were very similar.
Yeah, and they won't get things exactly the same, and I don't think they really have to, because
Well, no.
animation stuff works a lot differently than when you're shooting live action. But yeah, getting it very close like that, I didn't notice the wallpaper.
See, I made note of the band because it reminded me, I thought it was reminding me of the Swan Princess, because in that movie there's a band that actually helps also with training, and there's been some similarities to Swan Princess just because of Emma before, like a necklace and just the swan in general. But yeah, maybe it was just I went there because I knew about that band, and maybe it's really familiar because of Frozen. I've certainly seen Frozen enough that that would just be deja vu in my head.
I think we've all seen Frozen enough, and someone in the chat room is pointing out, Sarah in the chat room points out, do they really have to repeat all of these lines all the time?
Yeah. It's like, today we want to teach you about whether someone is or is not a monster, because see parallels.
Yeah.
We want you to see parallels.
I mean, some of the repeated lines are nice.
Yeah, occasionally.
Some of them are a little bit forced, and I think they're just for the sake of repeating a line from Frozen.
Well, it's not even just that. It's, it's the other repetition is what they always do, where they come up with a little catchphrase like monster. And I kind of like the way they have worked in some wording specifically from Frozen and from some of the songs in little subtle ways that aren't too obvious.
Or forced, yeah.
Like Rumpel giving them the urn, he says, all the realms will be safe from you. And it's kind of a reference to some lyrics from Frozen.
Oh, yeah.
About you'll be safe from me. It's kind of weird wording. I didn't notice it the first time.
But we got the Duke.
Yeah. And his dancing.
Jenny watched this episode with us Jenny watched this episode with us for her first time when we were watching it for our second or third time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd already seen, that's the Duke of Weaselton. And she saw it and she said, "Is that the Duke?" And then she sees him dancing and she's like, "Yep, that's him."
I loved that. I thought that was like just such a great way to I didn't like that didn't feel forced. It felt like it really worked with the story.
Hmm.
And it
Mhm.
was such a good like nod to Frozen as well.
Except, doesn't he seem too young?
No,
No?
I think this would be entirely appropriate because this happens. Remember, this is Ingrid's story, not Elsa's story. So
Right.
this
Well, I
Elsa's
know that,
story,
but I was thinking that Gerda, for example, seemed probably not too much younger than she would be when she got married, and but I was calculating to the little girl's age, not
right?
Elsa and Anna. So it's probably a good 20 to 30 years later that we see
Um,
him in Frozen.
or well, more like somewhere around 18 or 20,
Well, I'm accounting
because
for time before
yeah,
she even got married.
yeah, and before Elsa was born.
Mm-hmm.
After the party, though, one of the things I've been a little surprised about in this episode. Yes, it did happen at the party, and it's what inspired Snow Queen to leave, or Ingrid. But it didn't happen any of the other times. I would have really expected that, and that is the snowflakes, the flurry around Ingrid whenever she was feeling emotional. Like there in the room when she was packing up after the party, wanting to leave. No flurry. That would have been a moment I would have expected it, as well as later on in the gazebo. I would have expected her to have a flurry or a snowstorm.
Mm-hmm.
But no, none of that.
Forecasters hate her.
Maybe they just had the budget for the one.
Not too many flurries.
But that is interesting though because it's almost like we know in Frozen Elsa had the flurry when she was grieving the death of her parents. But with Ingrid, it's more of she had the flurry when she was like yearning for a normal life. So it could just be that they're because of their personality and their, makeup is a little bit different when they feel that emotion and how it manifests in them, which also might uh, somewhat be indicating just their motives and their overall demeanor, like that Elsa was the most tormented when she thought about accidentally hurting her sister versus Ingrid is the most tormented when she's almost jealous, a little bit envious of her sisters in their normal life and not wanting to mess that up for them.
Hmm. It's a good observation.
I like having and reusing the name Misthaven for Enchanted Forest
Yeah.
because the Enchanted Forest is more of a title. It's not a proper name necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
We thought of it as a proper name up until recently. Now we hear it called Misthaven, which I think makes a lot more sense because there's Arendelle, there's
Mm-hmm.
Misthaven, there's Agrabah.
Well, and it's likely someone from Arendelle or somewhere nearby who went exploring and made their maps and gave some things names that maybe they didn't have. Explorers do that.
Oh yeah.
They don't have the internet. They can't find out what the locals call it. So Misthaven. And yeah, it's nice to hear it again because otherwise it's just an obfuscation device for the premiere episode.
Hmm.
And not even a good one.
Right.
So, but however far away they are and whatever names they get, they still get the whispers.
Oh yeah.
The whispers about a man.
Well, he is the
Yes.
most powerful man in all the realms. They said that in the pilot
I think he
episode.
goes around whispering about himself.
Oh, yeah,
That seems
could
like
be
a
too.
very Rumpelstiltskin thing to do. Being on this topic, I was almost afraid to say his name for some reason. That was a strange moment.
I wanted to know how Gerda, of all of them, how Gerda is the one to know. She's the youngest, and maybe that's how, like maybe she like read it in a book or something, but why it parallels well with her knowing about him later when they are going to try and seek information about Elsa. But yeah, how does she hear the whisper but nobody else?
It's a redhead thing.
Well, she seems to be, even though she seemed to be the optimist as a child, she also seemed to be the most tentative one of all of them. So maybe that tentativeness led her to hear suspicions or listen to some of these whispers of a dark sorcerer.
Yep.
Someone had to hear him.
Well, when they went to visit him, Rumpel said that true love comes in many forms, but the sisterly bond is worth its weight in magic. And he took those ribbons as the price. We know that Rumpel doesn't just take any random item. He takes things that have some kind of magical value to
Things that
him.
have been imbued, if you will, with something.
Most of the time, anyway. Or sometimes he has taken things simply because they've been valuable to the person. Like that one time that Snow White called Rumpel and showed him the sword, and he said, "No, that's not the actual sword from Merlin, because if it was, I could do this. If it was, I couldn't do this." And for wasting his time, he took Snow White's necklace that belonged to her mother. We've never seen that necklace ever again. That was just kind of a spontaneous price because you wasted my time, which is precious to me, so I'm going to take something that's precious to you. Aside from things like that, I'm talking about when he makes deals.
Mm-hmm.
Always he wants something valuable to him,
Mm-hmm.
something magical, something he can do something with.
So could he already have, we saw him give them back. Could he already have done that thing, or was he just holding on to them because they had some value?
He
And
collects
eventually he exchanged it for information
he
to
collects
them.
magical items. So I think
Yes.
it was just he wanted a
Okay.
magical item from them and he didn't know quite how he would do it or what
Right.
he would use it for.
I was, though, wondering at the end if he had taken them for the sole purpose of making that trade again in the future.
I think that's a little more specific than he usually sees.
But back in the past, he is very specific because he has
Mm.
that foresight.
Well, think about this. This is before Snow White and Prince Charming. So at this point, he might be in the position of making the dark curse, and he realizes that he needs something imbued with true love. And so, as he said to the sisters, true love comes in many forms. And later he refers to these ribbons as receiving magic from true love. So maybe he recognized this and thought, oh, maybe I can use that in my dark curse.
I love that he wanted to train Ingrid.
Yeah. His first thought, oh, magic, I'm going to train.
Which makes me wonder if this is before or after Zelena and Regina.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
this would be before. But before or after Cora? That's a tough one. You know what? I'm going to leave that to Keb. Keb, good
Right.
luck figuring that out.
We'll look at the timeline happily.
Yeah, Keb
Oh,
manages our
well.
timeline. I know she's a
Maybe.
couple episodes behind because she does a lot of amazing work on managing our timeline. But check it out over at oncepodcast.com/timeline and just thank her for the great job that she does in making that timeline and all the details that go into that and how much time she spends. That's why it takes her some time to catch up on the episodes because she does such an amazing job on it. So thank you, Keb. You can have that one. We'll let you figure that one out.
And this will not be the last time tonight we're talking about the timeline.
It's kind of funny. They seem to not be used to a lot of magic in Arendelle, and yet Rumpel kind of stands up from his chair and boom, he's behind them, and they didn't miss a beat. They didn't blink. They didn't look at him funny.
Yeah.
They weren't afraid. They were just like, oh yeah, he can do that.
Well, they do know that they're going to see like the most powerful man in the world.
It's true, but I'd still be freaked out if he just went from one spot to another.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. Mary.
oh, it was like a
All
three-way
three.
crash.
Is this the first time we've seen Rumpel? Oh, I think I know the answer to this, but take an object like that. Like I know he took the hair, but that was to make True Love's potion. But is this the first time he's taken? Is this the first time we've learned that an object like a ribbon can be imbued with powerful magic,
Chronologically, I think so.
but not in the show and in general?
Right.
I was thinking that because of how he specifically worded it and how he made it so clear that these objects like hold so much power, I was just wondering if that was going to come into play later in some way, in a good way, like for the good guys. And it made me think of Emma's baby blanket just because we know that that we know that the Snow Queen is trying to turn Emma, or at least make them, the two of them, allies. And then it just, I wondered about the blanket because we did just see it in the last episode. It hasn't made an appearance for a while other than that. And like, I think I was even wondering whether it made it through the second curse back and forth and the memory and everything. So I won't be surprised if that has some kind of significance, just because it's been with her whole life, and
Hmm.
it's straight from the love of her parents and Granny.
What's also been with at least Gerda her whole life is that pair of gloves, because those are the same gloves that Elsa later wears in Frozen. I compared them. You can look at the screenshots and the show notes, oncepodcast.com/169. They are clearly they're the same color, the kind of turquoise cyan color,
Yeah.
but they have the same pattern on the back of them as the gloves that Elsa wears when she's an adult. The gloves I'm talking about in the movie Frozen. In the movie Frozen, the gloves her parents give Elsa are white, but those are when Elsa is a young girl. It's later on the gloves she wears, and that iconic glove that she throws off into the air.
Yes.
She says something like, "Let it fly, let it be, may it be." I don't know, but one of those things that she says like that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the whole Rumpel gave him the gloves thing, because he gives magical. I mean, the urn is quite magical and powerful, but they're like, "Do the gloves work?" He's like, "Well, if you believe it,
Yeah.
faith is powerful." And the thing is, Rumpelstiltskin would give them gloves that would block her power. Like, he could do that, but they couldn't do that and have them be the same gloves, because in the movie they clearly, like, they helped, but they don't. I don't know. They didn't seem magical in the movie.
Right.
Clearly.
Yeah, and Elsa's father just said these will help.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But we certainly never saw Elsa in Frozen use the magic when she was wearing the gloves.
And Ingrid never
So they
put them
helped.
on in the episode, which I also found a little strange.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't quite go with her wardrobe, but they came from the movie, and so they wanted them there, but they're like, you cannot wear these gloves with your white dresses, so we just have them. It's good.
Well, they really would not go with that dress, so she made a good call.
But the third thing, the unseen thing that Rumpel gave to Ingrid, was a Lost reference.
Oh?
Failsafe.
Oh.
Called the urn a failsafe.
Yeah,
I was like, suddenly she looks like Juliet to me.
It's also a reference from season 2 of Once Upon a Time, when there was a failsafe.
Curse,
True.
failsafe.
They like to use the word.
Well, Rumpel likes to cover his bases.
But it was her. That was the connection point for me.
Okay, yeah, we talked about that. Okay. The Duke is such a creep.
Yeah.
And very appropriate for, I mean, his character, and the actor they got to play him, I think, played the part, voiced the part really well. But I wasn't able to double check this in time for the podcast, but I'm pretty sure that the Duke had referred to Arendelle as a mysterious flower in Frozen. I know he talked about open up them that I might exploit your secrets and all of that stuff. And the whole wait, did I say that out loud thing? A lot of that, yeah, carried over. And I think that's just a great part of his personality that makes him this. But he's obsessed with mysteries, I think. He wants not what he can have, but he wants what he can't have, the thing that he can't understand. He's fascinated by that.
Well, it's a good thing he doesn't have magic, because then all he'd ever really want is, I don't know what he'd really want, but he'd be a villain.
He'd want what all villains want.
A mega villain.
Everything.
Right. He does.
I think that he wants to be king too. I didn't think of the whole loving mysterious things, but as soon as he realized that there was an opportunity to get with the queen that actually, or with the princess that's actually going to be queen, it's like, yeah, who cares about that other one? I want this one.
True.
Except that he said Helga would never know.
Yeah, that's a bit odd. It's more like he was obsessed and lusting and just like
He was like,
um
"Whoa, pretty mysterious lady. Let me kiss you."
Yeah,
It
he
was
didn't make
really,
smart choices. That's for sure.
it was really creepy, but he also came off largely. I don't know. I don't know. He deserved more than he got. We'll put it that way. I don't understand why the first blast didn't kill him.
Neither do I.
it was onto the ground. When Elsa blasted, she blasted onto the ground so that she could push him back, and he slid off of that ice
I
and out of
suppose.
the gazebo.
Well, that makes more sense. I was wondering too why it didn't hurt him more, especially when we see later that clearly he has the power, or clearly Ingrid has the power to hurt people more than that.
I mean, he could have at least lost his feet.
Well, it's the heart that.
I know. They couldn't do anything to him though because he has to be unfrozen.
Yeah. You can't kill the characters we see later.
That's true.
So I really loved that Helga wasn't swayed by his lies at all.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
I thought her death was one of the sadder deaths in Once Upon a Time. And it wasn't because we saw her for so long, but I think it was the way it happened. It was really fast. She didn't have any last words. And then the crumbling was really gross and scary.
And final, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think people might think that she was protecting the Duke when she jumped in front of him, but I think that her only motivation was to stop her sister from becoming a killer.
I think so. Yeah.
Actually, she didn't step in front of the Duke.
Did she not?
The Duke ran behind her. If you rewatch it, you'll see the Duke kind of grabs her and either pulls her in front of him or he hides behind her.
I thought she shouted no.
Yeah, she did, but he used her as a shield, and he was a coward. And whichever way you interpret his actions, from what I can tell, he did something basically either hiding behind her or pulling her in front of him. He was a coward and caused her death, basically, because of his action.
I don't like that she died, but I like that explanation better because I think every time we've ever seen somebody in Once Upon a Time and even in Frozen take a hit for somebody else, it does not result in death. Usually, like when Emma jumped in front of Mary Margaret in Queen of Hearts, did not result in death. I originally thought that was because she sacrificed herself for her mother, but it was because of her magic. But still, I like that it wasn't a sacrifice then.
Yeah.
She died. I still don't like that she died, just to clarify. But.
Right.
And getting to see her in person, Helga really does not look like Emma.
No.
No.
So it was just whoever said she looks just like you was kind of exaggerating a little bit. Yeah. So I guess he sees all blondes as the same. Emma should probably get away from him. He did say there are a lot out there.
Dye her hair.
Yeah, maybe that's all it would take.
One of the things that has been an issue we've been trying to figure out, a lot of people have commented on the show notes from our initial reactions. I've seen a lot of comments in the forums about this and chat and everything there, is when did Ingrid learn her magic? Because she goes into this urn and she's wearing the exact same thing when she goes into the urn as when she comes out of the urn. And when she comes out of the urn, she's all in control of her magic. Now, you can say that when she froze Hans, that she was just reacting out of what she already knew she was able to do because of her last emotional feeling caused a very similar thing where it froze someone. But then, referring to that episode or the events after she's released from the urn, she teaches Elsa how to control her magic. Where did that come from? Because just before Ingrid was put in the urn, she was saying, I can't control it anymore. So maybe while she's in the urn, she's conscious and able to think through how she's going to control it.
Maybe she goes in and out of the urn as milk, but then really inside she's just tiny, and she was just like making snowmen and ice
Like the
palaces.
genie bottle.
Exactly.
Maybe that wasn't the first time maybe that wasn't the only time, maybe that wasn't the first time she got let out of the urn that we've seen.
I mean, well, because she even was like, "Have you built an ice palace yet?" Well, she never did that before she
Oh
went in the
yeah.
urn.
Yeah,
At
maybe
least it
she
doesn't
was
appear
out
so.
for a while.
Hmm.
Maybe Rumpelstiltskin let her out, taught her some stuff.
And then said, "Nah."
And put her back when he was done.
No.
Just like you're supposed to do with all of your toys. Put them back when you're finished.
Jeez.
Well, she was probably no longer useful to him, and what do you do with things that aren't useful?
That's true. And we
Throw
don't,
them away.
but we don't know yet when Elsa and Rumpel have their backstory. And it's most likely chronologically after the events we see in this episode. When she's released from the urn, some kind of deal she probably makes with Rumpel in order to get to Storybrooke.
Oh, you mean
Uh,
Ingrid?
yeah,
Sorry.
Ingrid.
I thought you were talking about. You said Elsa.
Oh, I did. Oops.
Um,
I meant
I
Ingrid.
was, I was just thinking because Elsa could have a backstory with him too, so I thought you would jump to that. But no, I am sure that she's been out of the urn.
It sounds like, I don't know, like it's a catchphrase for something else, but I can't think what.
Do we think that? What do you guys think of Gerda, like automatically reacting and sticking out Ingrid in that urn right away?
Well, I think it's kind of like what Daniel was saying earlier, that she was always kind of a little bit more skittish, a little hesitant. She waited for Gerda to tell her it was okay to take Ingrid's hand, and fear is always a big theme, kind of in Once Upon a Time, but especially in the Frozen story arcs, and she kind of gave in to her fear.
Yeah. Yeah, and even as an older woman, you see she's the one with the more concern, a little bit more fear on her face. Helga is the one that's constantly saying, "We can do this. We're sisters. Don't leave." And it seemed like Helga and Ingrid had a stronger relationship with each other, first and second born.
Well, they were both blonde,
Yeah, that could be it too.
and they have more fun. So
Um,
Gerda was also the one who said, though, that they would never see her as a monster. As forced as the line felt, it was still kind of sadly poetic,
Yeah.
full circle, that she's the one who actually called her a monster.
Do you guys think that it had anything to do with her wanting to be Queen of Arendelle?
Nah.
Oh,
See, that's the first thing I thought, just because this show has like tainted us to think that people always just want to be queen.
yeah.
And it's like she would have had no hope as a child of being queen. Like she would have never even thought that that was a possibility. But then when Ingrid was gonna leave, she said to Helga like, "Oh, I'm gone. You're gonna be queen now." And so I just wonder if it was like she had a glimpse of that power and reacted quickly out of that and fear and grief and just made a bad choice.
I don't think she had a power lust. I think it was just out of fear.
So, interestingly, it feels like a really hasty decision to put her in the urn. I'm just sort of wondering now if she could have let her out at some point.
Yeah, but then why put her back in?
And it seemed like the memory, I mean, she definitely went and got the memory removal right away. The question is whether she used it right away, but I'm assuming she had to.
Also
Yeah.
consider this. Yeah, Ingrid has all of her memories from what happened. I think they kind of went out of their way to put Ingrid in the same costume in this scene as she was when she comes out of the urn. So if she was released and then put back in, I don't know. I think she went in this episode and stays in until Hans lets her out in the episode that we've already seen.
It's just so
But
strange.
she's still wearing that episode now in Storybrooke. Or
Yeah, she
sorry, she's
is.
still wearing that outfit in
I was gonna say.
that episode. Um, and Elsa's still walking around in the nightgown, so
Yeah.
who knows?
So Grandpappy said that this magic, this very powerful magic, will come at a price. And we know that it's yet to be paid. What is that price?
I think Elsa is that price.
And all that is to come.
Mhm.
Elsa's getting the magic, or what part of Elsa are you saying is the price?
I just meant having a a child that has the same burden as the sister that she locked away in the urn.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I would interpret it as the price, just because it's so ironic.
I'm still bugged by the ice palace thing. When did she do that? How could she? Why is that a thing? Why is it? You're just like, oh, have you built one yet? Well, when did she? I
Well,
just want to know.
maybe she built like one of the tiny little model ones in her room and when she was hiding out when she was a kid, and that's what she was talking about.
But she didn't have control
She called it
back then.
Ernendel.
Huh.
She lived there,
Boom.
getting bitter. Yeah, I I kind of question the whole forgetting thing anyway. I don't understand why Arendelle would possibly not have survived the tragedy. She wanted to make sure Arendelle would survive this. Why does that require forgetting?
Well, look at Frozen, how everyone in Arendelle reacted to their beloved queen when they discovered she had this magical power that she couldn't yet control. Everyone was afraid of her. People wanted to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
They were calling her a monster, all of this stuff. And that was with Elsa. That's probably what Gerda was afraid would happen in Arendelle, is that people would revolt against the kingdom, or against the rulers, even though they weren't the ones with the magic. They would think,
Yeah.
wait, you're cursed too. You have this magic too. You're a sorceress.
Maybe. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, I don't know. They say that when you're in grief, you shouldn't do anything rash like that, so maybe that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah. But you know what keeps us out of grief and keeps the podcast going is your kind donations.
Oh,
Big
good
thanks.
grief.
Yeah, it is good. Big thanks to David Newland, Lisa Slack, Steve Johnson for your kind donations. Each of them are subscribers. That's donating automatically on a monthly basis through the website. But also we've got a new Patreon backer, Lisa Eckert. Thank you very much for backing us on Patreon. That's up to 10 backers now on Patreon. Big thanks for the support, because we really could not do this podcast without you. The expenses are really high to run the podcast and everything that's involved with it. So your kind donations really help keep things running. And if you'd like to consider being a donor to an episode or several episodes or anything, we've got several options for you over at oncepodcast.com/sponsor. You can make a one-time donation, an automatic monthly donation, which is really what helps us the best. If you're trying to figure out what helps us the best, it's that one. But you can also donate on a per episode basis through Patreon, and you can set your own budget there. So in case we release 100 episodes, you don't have to pay $100 if you don't want to pay that much. But any little bit will help.
But you can.
Yeah, and we'd love it. And someone does do that. You look at the names that come up in almost every single episode. They're the ones that contribute very generously, and we really appreciate that. So if you want to be a donor too and keep this podcast running, then please consider going to oncepodcast.com/sponsor. If you can't contribute financially, then the next best thing you can do for us is share the episodes. When we post a new episode, share it on Tumblr, on Reddit, on Pinterest, on Dancer, on Prancer, on all of the other places, and share it on Facebook groups. If there's a Facebook group you're a member of or a page that's about Once Upon a Time, share it there. It always looks better if someone else is sharing it than we are. Share it on Twitter, retweet us. That kind of stuff really helps a lot, and it helps the podcast grow, better than even donating to the podcast. Donating keeps the podcast alive. Sharing the podcast helps it grow. And so we would just let it grow. Let it grow. Check out those options for donations over at oncepodcast.com/sponsor, and all of the sharing options are on every post for every episode. You can go to the show notes for this one at oncepodcast.com/169. And thank you for your support. Now let's talk about what we see going on in Storybrooke. Inside the clock tower, I have nothing to say.
The hands on the clock go round and round.
I just feel like it's very suspicious.
Hold on,
that-
let me start that over because that's going to get edited.
Right. I would not have sung that if I thought it was saying it.
Here's my transition. When I first saw Ingrid outside of the clock tower, yeah, she's looking up at the clock, but then she's in the elevator, and I thought, what? Is she going down to see Dust Maleficent or Dragon Maleficent or whatever form Maleficent is currently in? Is she going down there in the caves and going to build a snowman or some secret plot to freeze Storybrooke from underground? No. She was going up.
Well, I figured she was going up, but I thought she was going to broadcast her spell to the town from there.
Wait, so she went in the elevator up into the clock tower?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but then Charming says that there's a trail up, but there's not a trail down.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. You should have brought some salt just in case it was a giant snail.
Well, secretly she is. But yeah, I don't remember the elevator actually going up. Does it go up to a certain point and then you take the stairs?
Yeah. It like maybe one flight of stairs, an additional flight up.
Interesting.
I just realized that when we started talking about the elevator, I was confused about what she was doing too.
She opened the elevator with her hand without touching it.
I felt it was peculiar that she suddenly, like, she's on the run and everybody's looking for her, but she's just gonna, hang out in the public square and walk into the clock tower totally in her white dress, totally obvious. To me, it just screams like that she's up to something.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
I thought the first time we watched the episode, I thought that she was about to enact the curse.
The ice trail, too. She's way more in control than Elsa was. She doesn't ever have to leave that stupid ice trail. She does it on purpose, and they should know that by now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
I agree.
Robin and Regina in the vault are this conflicting thing. And yeah, Robin's struggle is a realistic struggle. I've kind of been in a similar position before. I mean, not the exact same position, but to try to love one woman when there's someone else distracting you that's right there, basically, always present, that is really, really hard. So yeah, this is a real big struggle for him. I just kind of hate to see the way that he let it go and didn't hold it back anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of super not fair because right now it's sort of, I don't know, it's that impossible situation of having like a spouse in a permanent coma. Not to mention she was, not he believed, she was actually dead at one point when he started this relationship with Regina.
Right.
And then through impossible time travel, she's back. And now she's like not even a veg, she's like a frozen vegetable. And there's no microwave big enough. And it's just it's another one of those things they like to set up where it's like, let's put this little morality question in there, but let's make it completely more complicated than it is for 99% of the people on planet Earth, maybe more than 100% of the people on planet Earth. And then let's ask the question. It kind of bends it in an unfair direction. I liked where they were going with it, not where they are going with it.
Well, and I kind of like where they're not really making it about our morals, people watching, or the morals of the people in the town even. They're making it about his morals.
Mm-hmm.
And he like, and later he even said, this is the code that I've lived by. But today, like it's his own morals. Like I really like that about this because it's not preachy at people who might not, obviously this is a pretty, he is married, and so that makes it blatantly he's married. But it's his morals that he's going against, and that's what makes it
Mm-hmm.
worse to
It's
me.
not just about what people will think.
Right,
It's
because
about
there
what
are
is right and wrong and what he believes is right and wrong.
right, there are people who don't believe in certain things and
Mm-hmm.
or do believe in certain things, and it's your own personal compass. So
Yeah.
it's they are making it very clear that we can have all this black and white and gray and mix it all together, and who knows what's right for us in this situation, but it is going against his code, and he's being completely honest about that. And
And that will have consequences, I think.
I think it will too. But it's a completely unfair situation for every party involved, not
Oh, yeah.
just Marion, not just Regina, not just him. It's all of them. And it is complete, like it's very unfair to Regina for him to be acting this way as well. Like it's not her responsibility anymore. She's put it on him. Like forget me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make you do this. So um
Yeah, the whole forget me thing, it makes me wonder, is that what Regina is going to force him to do? Is she going to end up using a forgetting potion on him
Hmm.
in order to
yeah.
make him forget her and fall in love with his wife again?
Interesting.
Memory has always been so tricky in this show. I would not be surprised to see something like that happen.
That's interesting. He goes and finds her in the vault. And a lot of people have been doing that. Have you noticed it's her new office? She's
Yeah.
not the mayor anymore. So this vault. Do you guys remember the first time we saw her push on the coffin and slide it, and we all gasped?
Yes.
And she went down into the vault, and now people they're just I'm just gonna stroll into the vault and see if Regina's there. Yeah, it's under the mausoleum. That's not creepy at all.
Everyone knows where the vault is now. Everyone knows to push aside Henry Sr. Ain't in there, Henry.
Or it's just pushed aside all the time.
Yeah.
Like into the mausoleum. Yes. I know you're new to town. You will find her in the mausoleum, under the mausoleum, really.
Yes.
It's fine. It's normal.
Perhaps she has an open door policy now.
Love is an open door.
At the sheriff's office, when Emma and Elsa were there and they did their little practice thing, I, of course, looked at the screen very, very closely just before Emma put that book down with the runes in it.
Yes.
And there's an interview transcript there. I can't figure out whether it ties in with any fairy tale because I did some research on this. I couldn't really find anything. The transcript actually repeats, and it's someone interrogating or interviewing this person, asking these questions of this guy named Cyril Keep.
Cyril?
Yeah, Cyril Keep. He's a homeless guy, a former math teacher, and he was accused of taking a boy, and he did so out of anger, but then the boy is missing, and he doesn't know what happened to the boy. It's probably nothing,
That's
but I
weird.
just found it interesting.
That's
and then
really creepy, actually.
the interview script actually repeats itself.
That
Okay.
reminds me of there's a play called The Pillow Man, which is really, really, really creepy. Like really creepy, like R-rated creepy, guys. Don't.
Ooh. You're like, I mentioned it, but don't actually go look it up.
No, but it does. It sounds exactly like that. And it's a play, actually. It's a manuscript of a play or whatever. And it starts off with them interrogating this guy about a missing boy. So
Well, that's creepy. Did we really learn anything in that scene? Or let me start over. I don't really understand in the practice what happened with the candle. I didn't know if Elsa tried like put it out or if it she held her hands out awkwardly. See, the way they first read about the candle, I was like, "Oh man, it'll totally take your powers away permanently." And they're like, "Let's try it." I was
Yeah.
like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing?" "Oh, I'm sorry, it didn't work. I was able to like put it out." Well, good. That's probably good. But it looked to me like basically there's a switch on the bottom of the candle. She put her hand on it and the flame came up.
It's probably kind of like the Peter Pan bracelet. Which why didn't they just go find that and put that on Elsa?
Yeah.
On
But
Elsa.
or on,
On
on
Ingrid.
Ingrid. But this it seems like it's only when she's captured that she wouldn't be able to use her magic, but it turns out that she could still. So maybe Ingrid actually planted that story there.
Maybe everything in the sheriff's office is a plant by Ingrid.
Possibly because everything is going according to Ingrid's plans. Although Ingrid did look genuinely surprised when Emma captured her.
Did she? She wasn't just acting?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to. I wondered if Ingrid flinging the icicle at Emma somehow made Emma able to capture her, and that it was all part of her plan. Because otherwise, that makes not a lot of sense. But
I loved that icicle bullet. I thought that was pretty cool.
It did inspire more emotion in Emma than just Emma practicing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole practicing thing, it's like, hey, we finally found a way to take down the evil villain in the town. Let's try it once. Oh, we didn't work.
Right.
Okay, let's practice later. We'll have time to take down the villain later. Right now, I need to go babysit.
It kind of fizzled, and I don't even know what happened, and we'll just try it on her, okay? Can we just try it on the Snow Queen?
The young mom's support group was cute. It was. I think it was great.
I didn't think it was cute. I thought it was depressing.
Well, it was great to see Ashley and baby Alexandra again, and to see their Aurora with baby Philip.
The song was awful, and I feel like it was tongue in cheek.
I love that song, Jeremy.
But it was like it didn't. I was vaguely aware, I guess, that they were singing because it was like it came back from a commercial or switched scenes or something. But then I hear them sing "Goodbye, Neil," and I was like, "What is happening?" Right? Oh, the baby. Okay, so yeah, you really do tend to sing goodbye to all of your love interests.
As somebody who has been to a baby group like that with a baby, they sing that song at the end, like for real. So, and it's also a good night song. You can make it into a good night song. So I liked it just because I was a nanny and I sang that song for years. So
well, okay. It was strange.
There were some other things about the scene I didn't like the continuity errors that it was filled with.
Such as
Alex is a girl, Ashley's baby, which I guess this baby could have been a girl, but the baby Ashley was holding was dressed very much like a boy. And like Ashley's baby should be like 3 years old by now.
Yeah. 2
really?
or 3 years old.
Well, okay, so it was the very beginning of season 1 when Ashley had her baby. And
magic.
So that's a year before the curse was broken of time that was moving. And then we've got like a year.
A year?
Well, The Price of Gold was the episode. Remember the original Cinderella episode? At the end of that episode in Storybook is when Ashley gave birth to the baby.
Right.
Named her
that was when
Alexandra.
Emma's first. That was like Emma didn't even have clothes yet.
Sure, I just don't remember Emma being in town a year before the curse was broken.
Oh, I thought it was a year, but I could be wrong. Just Adam and
several
Eddie
weeks.
had said that each season is roughly a year.
Yeah.
Could be. And there was definitely even the few weeks gap between like when Graham died and the funeral. They mentioned the gap
6
specifically,
weeks.
yeah. Because that's what it had been for for airing too. Yeah.
Well, and then there's the lost year that just happened.
Right.
And they weren't frozen during that.
And then there's stuff. So the baby should be at least 2.
Yeah.
Because there's also season 2, which doesn't even account for any of that time. So it's like either they named their boy Alex that they had after their girl Alex,
Makes
or
it easy.
somebody made a little bit of a goof.
Yeah, I think it was a little goof.
That's annoying. Plus, biggest Disney continuity error ever. Cinderella said they tell the children. I thought she called him a boy. Now that I say this out loud, thought she called her baby a boy.
No, she said tell him. She was
Tell.
talking to Emma to tell Neil.
Oh, okay.
Tell him
But
he's
she said that he would turn into a pumpkin at midnight. People always say that, but Cinderella did not turn into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
Her carriage turned back into a pumpkin, people. This is basic Disney continuity and error correction. And now you've got Cinderella making the mistake in her own story.
That's what all
That's
of the
just sad.
parents say.
Oh, it's just sad.
Did you guys?
That should be like her pet peeve. I think that would have been great if someone else said, "Oh, I'll just tell him he'll turn into a pumpkin at midnight." She'd be like, "Actually, it was the carriage, not me. Thank you." That would have been great for me.
Did you guys see the hidden Mickey in this scene?
No.
No, I wasn't looking for it in this scene. I was looking for it elsewhere.
Oh, one of the
Where was it?
babies was dressed up like Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah.
And
I
it's
rem-
probably the same little costume that I saw at the Disney store last year on a really creepy looking baby mannequin. I might have a picture somewhere. Might have to go in the show notes.
Yeah, it wasn't any of the named babies that we know, like Neil, Philip, or
Oh.
Alex. It was one of the other babies at the back.
Yeah.
I can't believe you guys missed that. I was so excited.
Now that you say that, I see it in my mind. I remember seeing that, but it didn't register as, oh, that's Mickey. When Dairy Queen was taken into an interrogation, some of this conversation here, I think, tells us a little bit of the story that I'm going to guess one of these episodes we'll get to see the actual backstory of when Emma was a girl living with Sarah Fisher.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
But I think we got a couple hints of maybe what happened here. One of the things is that Ingrid said, use your superpower, and Emma was surprised about that whole thing. It makes me wonder if Emma discovered she had that ability while she was with Sarah Fisher, or Ingrid, or Snow Queen, Dairy Queen, whatever you want to call her. Or if maybe Sarah, back then as the foster mom, helped Emma learn to harness that ability.
Yeah.
We've theorized about that a little bit before.
That'd be kind of strange though, right? I mean, I guess Emma doesn't have to know everything about her history to know about magic.
Right.
I think if Emma, because we know that was the next house that she was in after the whole experience with Lily, which really hurt her. Perhaps just in conversation, she could have mentioned, "Oh, I thought I had a superpower, but like turns out I don't." And then the Snow Queen could have been like, "Oh, I'll help you with that. Tell me if I'm lying."
Maybe Emma accidentally killed Lily. And so Sarah / Ingrid was like, this was a mistake. Let's remove all of that.
Well, Dairy Queen did say every family has their ups and downs in response to Emma saying something about losing her memory.
Like, were they just too good? The memories. I love that.
I was thinking it was the other way around.
Well, no, that's what she said. That's what Emma said.
Yeah. So I'm thinking something tragic happened, and that's why Sarah had Emma's memories removed, just like Rhoda had all of the memories of the entire kingdom removed for their protection, because something tragic happened.
Maybe the CIS, what Child Protection Services, I don't know what it's called in the States, got word that Ingrid was not on the up and up and was not actually from our world, nor was she qualified to be a foster parent, and so they took Emma away.
I'd like to see the case file on that. What struck me and has been bugging me in the back of my mind is how Snow Queen treats Emma and Elsa. Like when they show up, she just attacks them. She doesn't, and the way she talks to them, she doesn't care. This is what struck me. She doesn't care about what they think of her right now. And yet she wants them to be a family, which tells me she's planning to change them and change their minds, because whatever happens now doesn't matter to her as long as it gets her what she wants, because they're either not going to remember any of it or they're not going to see it the same way once she's done.
I think I agree with you. I made a note about this for later, but I'll jump to it now. Because at the end, Snow Queen gets those ribbons from Rumple. She really wants those ribbons. There are 3 ribbons that the sisters used. I think Snow Queen plans to use those ribbons to change Emma and Elsa.
Interesting.
I don't like it.
Emma will become her sister.
Yeah.
Maybe they carry somehow the essence of her sisters and she's going to put them on them. And they're actually, maybe because they're magical, they're going to sort of become her sisters.
And then everyone will be happy and whimsy, and someone will just say, "You must stay."
What?
Once upon a time in Wonderland.
Oh, I was like, a sty in your eye?
Burrow grows.
Oh, wow.
That whole creepy thing.
Oh.
I'm torn about Ingrid because she seems like we've talked about this before, that she seems to have like a genuine love for Emma, or at least in her voice and in her reaction, in her facial expressions, she seems to have that. But then how could you do to Emma what she did in this episode, which was all mind manipulation? Like even Gold commented on it at the end, as someone who's created a lot of monsters.
Yeah.
How could she do that to Emma? Like it just seems like if she genuinely cared for Emma, she should be happy that Emma has found a family that loves her. Unless she just has no faith in the Charmings that they would ever truly see Emma, and in some way feels like she's actually protecting her from harm.
That may be.
She also seemed to stretch the truth a little bit. Like by the end of this conversation, you're going to let me go. I don't think Emma really let her go. It wasn't like, here, I'm going to unchain you and then you can go. It wasn't on purpose.
Right. She blew a hole in the wall, and then
you escaped.
Ingrid didn't even go through the hole in the wall.
Well, her snowflakes did.
Oh, okay. That's true.
It was brought up in this conversation about Anna, and our listener Jessica sent an email in saying, "I also find it interesting that the Snow Queen is replacing her sisters, but both Emma and Elsa resemble her sisters Helga. Helga was the one that never seemed to doubt Ingrid or fear her and encouraged Gerda to trust her as well. Gerda was the one that seemed to be hesitant with Ingrid and sort of fear her from the beginning, and was the one who trapped her in the urn. Anna resembles Gerda physically, so that could be why she didn't really give Anna a chance. It would make sense in a way why Ingrid would want to replace her sisters with 2 Helgas instead of someone resembling Gerda."
That is funny. Very true.
You're totally automatically going to act like the person that you look like.
Yeah.
It seems to be all about symbolism for Ingrid at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Ingrid, I still don't know whether she's lying about Anna trapping Elsa in the urn, but I imagine if Anna did trap Elsa in the urn, that it was an accident and it was meant to trap the Snow Queen.
Right. I think it's still a lie. But we'll see. I'm sure that's a story we're definitely going to see. I don't know that for certain, but I know that for certain.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen spoilers, but it's just one of those things I think we all know. Yeah, we're going to see that at some point.
Have to, I think.
It's like, are we going to see the curse broken? Yeah, duh.
Emma's hands creep me out. They look like they've been burned when they're sort of glowing and patchy sort of electrical ways.
It's beautiful.
It's burned. It looks weird. Sorry, Emma.
Henry was looking quite dashing in his outfit there. Not outfit, but in his the suit.
Well, they're cracking me up. It's like they
married.
Right, he's getting married. It's like they recorded the scene that made me laugh where he's like, I'm a kid, I noticed these things. And I was like, dude, you are way too old to be saying lines like that. And then the next week they're like, let's go ahead and embrace the age that he actually is.
Well, when Henry said that, I'm getting married, my first thought, and it happened very quickly, was that Regina was dreaming and she realized like she wasted her life away just trying to save Marianne or trying to get Robin or trying to get her happy ending.
That's
and here her son grew up before her eyes. It reminded me a lot of the movie Father of the Bride, where Steve Martin is hearing his daughter after she gets back from this trip, spoiler by the way, where she says, Dad, I met this man in Rome and we're getting married. But when in Steve Martin as the father, in his vision, seeing his daughter doing this, the scene changes to where he's suddenly seeing his daughter as this little girl saying, Daddy, I met a boy in Rome and we're getting married. That's kind of what I thought they were sort of doing here, was some kind of weird image that Regina was having.
That's funny. I liked that he said she was tearing through the book with her scary face on.
Yeah.
Like we've gone from my mom's the evil queen and she cursed everyone and I'm terrified of her to he's like, yeah, your scary face is just a thing I acknowledge now. I actually like it better than being like, is she going to turn evil again?
Yeah.
It's like, well, she has these moments and she has a scary face sometimes.
There's scary faces showing, your snowflakes are flurrying, same thing.
Is Henry living at Regina's house again now, or what?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I get the feeling sometimes.
Yeah, I think he goes back and forth.
At the apartment, but
it's not an official arrangement. He just does what he wants.
Okay.
Right now, it's helpful to Operation Mongoose to stay there so she can tie his tie and not tighten it. And then he can go to work.
Well, yeah.
In the diner, Robin Hood was going all Graham on that dartboard there. Which, by the way, we've never seen the deer on the dartboard again as it was back in episode 7, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter.
Well, it was probably fake.
Yeah. Now, here's something really interesting, though. He missed the dartboard, but the numbers next to where the darts hit on the wall are 8, 15. Numbers from Lost.
Man.
Can that be planned?
Oh, probably. I wonder how many times they had to throw darts in order to hit near those numbers, but they probably got a professional dart thrower.
That would be an interesting kind of a job. Like, all right, you are a professional dart thrower. We want you to miss. We don't want you to do a good job. We want you to hit these specific places. Everyone will think you did a bad job. But really, we know.
In this little conversation that they had at the bar when Will showed up, and that whole scene that, again, was a lot like going back to The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, where Graham threw the dart at Emma and it hit that post. Mm-hmm. Same thing happened here, and we'll have screenshots of that in case you want to see the resemblance. Different angles of the camera, but very similar. This whole heart-to-heart that Robin and Will had, I think communicates to me that Anastasia was lost. Not that she left, but that she was lost somehow. Because you look at how Will was, if you watch Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, you see Will go through these many different emotions. Hold on, let me turn the heater off and say that again. Heater was not supposed to run right now.
You can say it with a little less intensity this time. Daniel, I think we want you to turn the heater off and say that again.
Okay, sorry about that. We need to kind of move this on a little bit more quickly.
Yeah, because it's almost 10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not much more anyway.
So that's why I skipped over that scene that...
Oh, you totally skipped it.
there really wasn't much to
No.
say.
No.
As soon as the heater turns off, just waiting for it to turn off.
I miss Once in Wonderland.
Okay, it's off. Here we go.
Sorry, Siren's note about. I think you skipped the scene.
With this whole heart-to-heart between Robin and Will, I think the impression I'm getting is that Anastasia was lost. Not that she left, but that she was lost somehow. Because if you watched Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, you see Will go through these different emotions, even though for a while, spoiler, he didn't have his heart. But
Spoiler.
when he lost Anastasia because she left him, he was very down and very kind of like hateful on the world sort of thing. Here,
Stealing. What's different?
well, here it seems more like he is thankful for the time that he had and sad that it's gone. It's the difference between breaking up with someone and that someone dying, them being ripped away from you like that.
You need to stop. You need to stop arguing for her death.
I think that's probably what happened
Stop.
because he said sometimes even when you win, you lose. And he also said if you find someone you love enough to ruin your entire life, it's always worth it. I don't think those are the words of a man whose love left him. I think those are the words of a man who lost the person he loved.
I don't think that she left him, but Emma thought that Neil was dead once before he was really dead, at least once.
Okay, yeah.
He was lost, but he went through a portal.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to put it that way. Magic beans were involved. And Anastasia can come back.
I hope that that's true because
I fixed it.
Because they've been through enough.
Because seriously, if they destroy a major component of the whole prior series, I will actually be ticked. That book closed, and I liked it for what it was. Leave it. Unless you're going to expand upon it properly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think they will because this episode, this conversation was a direct reference to Once Wonderland. You cannot know what they are talking about when they're talking about what happened in the Enchanted Forest without having watched Wonderland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and remind everyone of what did happen there when they said you nearly got us all killed.
So Will and Anastasia were an item. She wanted to go to Wonderland and had heard about a mirror that would get her there. Huge spoiler alert also. Will was in with Robin and the Merry Men and suggested that they rob Maleficent's palace to get the mirror, or to get gold was why he said that. And Robin Hood said, like, yeah, let's do it. We're only taking gold. Like, don't touch anything. It's a mysterious palace. And then Will ended up taking the mirror, and Maleficent found out, and it was there was a big rift between Will and Robin, but Will didn't care because he had the mirror, and then him and Anna went to Wonderland. So that's what they were talking about.
But because Wonderland ended up being like a limited run show, and it was just a little story, they got spoiler alert. There were happy endings in the show.
Oh yeah.
And they need to not undo that on a show that is about happy endings. Or I will have a hard time considering Will to be a valid Once Upon a Time character.
And by undo it, you mean?
I mean, if they suddenly are like, well, like I said before, if they want, like, we want this character in the show, but we can't get both of them, so we're just going to kill her, then they've undone it. And that's just not a valid way to tell a story. That's just actor procurement, and I don't like it.
I agree with that, but I think killing her it sounds so wrong, but I think for the story and for their happy endings, her dying is a lot better than her leaving him.
Well, of course, but it's still... It's not been very long. It's still not a happy ending.
Yeah.
But she could also, like Daniel was saying, like lost. Like, she could be missing. That's why he could be, like, looking at her picture.
I'm cool with that, because that means the happy ending can continue.
And we still don't know what's in his sack that's somewhere in the sand.
Yeah,
buried.
did he look there? Maybe that's where she is.
I wonder if this is part of, I know with Wonderland they were talking about if they got a second season, it would be the same characters but a different story. Perhaps this is part of what they were going to do if they got a second season, and they're bringing it into once to continue that story. Because
Right.
once Wonderland was not about Will and Anna, that was not the main purpose of that show.
True,
So,
but I kind of liked them better than the
yeah,
main characters.
yeah, me too.
Sarah emailed saying, I still believe Anastasia is alive and well in Wonderland. They may be working out issues at the moment. Kristoff had trouble adjusting to palace life. It only makes sense that Will would too, even in the finale of Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. He's still fussing with his dress clothes, just like at the ball before she left him for the first time. He'd make an effort for Anna, but let me say that. He'd make an effort for Anna, but I don't think life around stuffed shirts is really his thing. What's more, I think his incompetence at it is very likely to get on Anna's nerves. She loves to play queen, and having Will bumbling about is having a constant reminder of her own humble origins. If this Lilith/Lily connection turns out to have anything to do with her, that child's complexion is also a little too dark to be Will's, so one more potential bump in their rocky road. Thanks, Sarah.
My goodness. A lot there. I feel like, well, I mean, sure, maybe. Doll sounds a little domestic. I feel like there's actually something keeping him from her, assuming she's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like something more than just, we're not as compatible right now as we thought. Because that's just silly.
Yeah, there's got to be a bigger story to tell that has magic and stuff.
Right. Well put. It needs to be a little more fairy tale and a little less Days of Our Lives.
Or a little more furniture polish.
Or, oh, sure. Yeah, a little more furniture polish. Just, it's the new Windex.
When Mr. Gold told Henry, don't touch anything you shouldn't, I was thinking, oh, we know what the next episode is going to be. Henry is basically the Sorcerer's Apprentice here.
Yep.
And he's probably going to touch something he shouldn't, just like in The Sorcerer's Apprentice with Mickey and the wizard. So what's probably going to happen in maybe the next episode or an episode after that is Henry will cause some kind of magical thing to happen in his search for the author of the book, because after all, he did say he thinks he knows exactly where to look.
He did say that.
Mm-hmm.
Or did he say he had an idea of where to look?
I guess it was more, he said he had an idea of where to look.
Didn't Gold tell him he couldn't go in the back?
Originally, yeah.
Now
Yes,
he's like,
he did.
you can start polishing stuff in the back. Like, go take this stuff and go put it on, like, whatever, because I didn't really tell you what to polish. Just don't
Well,
rub
it
the
is a
lamp.
magical potion, so maybe it'll guide him. Do we think that the hat is in Henry's story book?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'd say sure.
Because that
Pretty
could
old.
be if Henry sees the hat somehow when he's there and then goes and looks it up, and
You'd have to get in the safe.
perhaps.
There's a
perhaps.
lot in the book we still haven't seen yet. A
Yes.
lot of pages.
I love that they showed Ashley, like they showed Cinderella in this episode when Ashley was in the episode again for one
Yeah.
of the first times. Anyway.
That was a good, because I'm always complaining that people disappear into Storybrooke and are never seen again.
Well, and she was one of the pictures in the book that Regina was looking at. You know, it's
True,
like,
true.
couple in love, couple in love, couple in love, couple
Right.
in love, couple in love. And a picture from the Golden Bird, couple in love, couple in love.
Yeah, I liked Rumpel's line observing as they all run into the shop. This kind of procession never bodes well. Can you imagine if you're just one of the minor people and you live in Storybrooke, and every once in a while you see a handful of the key players go running through the streets, often toward Gold's shop, and you go, oh man, honey, get in the basement. There's going to be, a wraith or like vines or another cloud, certainly of some color or another, bringing some kind of doom. Get in the basement. It never helps. Do it.
But now Belle is included in their little posse, and so he's going to be more willing to help them.
Right.
Because how can he say no?
And he's thinking, we're going to talk about this tonight.
I thought that Mary Margaret's reaction.
Snow.
Yeah, Snow. But it's Mary Margaret here.
Snow.
I thought that her reaction to Emma sounded very motherly.
Yeah, I criticized it on Sunday, but this time around I was like, nah, that's pretty much, yeah, motherly for sure. And even when you're pretty familiar with someone, I think it shows more trust that she said it that way in a sense.
Mhm.
Because it's kind of like she felt free in that moment to be like, what the heck? And then when she saw her face, she softened.
Yeah. I think just that reaction coupled with her reaction earlier when she wouldn't hand Neil over to Emma probably is what helped. And plus all of the lies that, not even necessarily lies, but all of the things the Snow Queen said to Emma, it kind of just perpetuated that reaction. And it was very motherly. It was like when your kid does something intentionally that you've told them not to do. That's the voice you use. Like the
True.
anger, disappointment.
Or I never thought you would do something like that.
And then Emma runs off like a little girl.
Like a 14-year-old.
So it's no wonder then that in the apartment, Mary Margaret was so regretful, realizing what they did, and Elsa just relating totally with all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elsa saying, I saw that on the faces of my loved ones, and I was thinking, you loved one. You had a loved one. That's the only one.
Well, no, her parents, when she hurt Anna.
Oh, that's true. I was just thinking of the ball. No, good point. Okay. She had multiple loved ones. That's nice.
Sorry,
I don't know where we are. Already talked about it. Oh, the Apartment of Regrets.
Next scene below that.
Okay.
But this little bit that we saw of Dairy Queen back with her actual mirror while Emma is just in a car crying somewhere. We got this piece of feedback from Jer. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. Said, the Snow Queen's plot reminds me so much of Richard's plan in The Guardian by Nicholas Sparks. Book spoiler warning. In the book, Richard is a sociopath who has killed pretty much everyone he has been close to, the last person being his wife. Being crazy, he goes on a very creepy, quote, recruitment, unquote, process, killing a man and assuming his identity, so he can find another, quote, suitable, unquote, wife. He finds another woman that looks very similar to his old wife and even has a similar name, and begins stalking her as well as taking her on extravagant dates. Things don't pan out for him, and she ends up falling for another. From that on, isolating her from all of her friends, especially her boyfriend. So he stalks her and expertly manipulates. Yeah. There is any relation, but there are many. That is, wow, amazingly strikingly. That's. Thank you, Jar, for that. That's, wow. I mean, just change the genders, and that's basically what Lena is doing here.
I still feel like Elizabeth Mitchell's face is showing that she loves Emma, even in looking at her in the mirror. Even though it's creepy that she's relying on her.
Emma? Aaron?
Sorry, I think you cut out.
So you think she was looking at Emma?
I do, yeah. I think she was looking at Emma. That's what they were implying, and
Hmm.
but maybe not.
Well, it did show Emma being all alone, and then it cut to her. I think Dairy Queen was more like, this is my mall. This is a
I
beautiful.
thought she was like, "Oh, the happiness this will bring me." Because usually when Regina would watch somebody, we'd see the image in the mirror.
Right.
Oh, that's true.
Which, can she only do that because of Sydney?
I don't know.
So in that case, it's sort of like, why, now that they know a mirror's involved, why haven't they asked Regina to kind of see what they can find out?
Yeah.
What she can find out.
The last scene, most of us are theorizing and trying to figure out what this is. Well, what I think those are for. But we back in season really knew that Rumpel was after finding his son. We theorized that maybe what Rumpel wanted is freedom in this world outside of Storybrooke. He wanted to leave and, I don't know, take over the world or be the only magical being in the magic. Back in season 1, we thought about that and then kind of put it aside because of all the other stuff that happened, finding his son and everything there. Now it's coming back to that, it seems. And we thought it was just he wanted to be free of the power of the dagger, or the bondage to the dagger. But he wants to leave and do what?
Live happily ever after.
By conquering the world?
It's the age-old question. Why? What do they really, really want? It's like
Everything.
like in Lord of the Rings, which was actually mentioned in this episode.
Yeah.
There's a of the orcs is at hand, and I just go, why? What is that world? What does that look like? What do you do once everybody's conquered? I don't understand. There's no orc culture, so I don't really understand what the point is of conquering the world.
They launched.
So yeah, well, like what does he want to do? I don't understand his end game now that he has no one.
Makes me wonder if he's his position, the Enchanted Forest, as Rumpelstiltskin.
The one people whisper about?
Yeah, and this powerful being that everyone in all the realms fears, or he wants to be that outside of Storybrooke for him.
And meanwhile, Dairy Queen just wants to make Storybrooke a kingdom of isolation.
Yeah, with nobody except these two fake sisters.
And it'll look like she's the queen.
What is it that Rumpel needs to do himself of the dagger?
Because, of course...
I cannot do that, but I shall do it with great pleasure.
Of course, you need to lean over and whisper when you're in an empty shop.
Well, you never know who might be listening. Might be a little
whole thing, though.
little Henry.
Listen to the whole thing.
That's true. She knew there was an audience. But here's the thing. On the rewatch, when he started saying with great pleasure that started playing, I suddenly realized it's generally associated.
Yeah.
And the seems more appropriate assigned to killing else.
Right. That's most of, well, I know in initial reactions I suggested Regina, but make a lot more sense. Callie wrote in saying, who Rumpelstiltskin might have to kill in order to free himself. The Snow Queen is set out to remove anyone that's close to Emma from her life. So it makes sense to me that she would have him, that's Rumpelstiltskin, set out to kill Hook, considering how close Hook and Emma have gotten. Plus, with how much Rumple and Hook dislike each other, he would get great satisfaction out of killing him. Yeah, I think it does make a lot of sense.
If you can just get Hook to swing on that swing by the jagged rocks, everything will be fine.
So yeah, I'm thinking it's Hook that he has to kill, because I just can't think of anything else he would be so excited to do.
Right.
And especially in this season, even though in last season, or at the end of actually the second season, Hook and Rumple basically agreed that, yeah, we're finished trying to kill each other. In this season, their rivalry has really flared up again, with Hook trying to basically ransom things against Rumple.
Was you need to take your wife back to that mansion and do another dance in the ballroom, but this time wearing the funny hat. It could be, it's one of the two.
I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't be a specific person that he has to kill. It should be like the thing you love most.
No, that's for the dark curse. Maybe
Well,
this
something
is
like that, I mean.
to free yourself. It's the person you hate most.
Gosh, that's a terrible message.
And that might be Hook. If you have any other theories, please let us know. Comment on the show notes for this episode at oncepodcast.com/169, because this does conclude our discussion of this episode of Once Upon a Time. No doubt we'll see this answer probably very soon. I would guess something like this would be the mid-season finale. By the way, speaking of the mid-season finale, that is going to be coming up on December 14th. So we are getting 11 episodes before the finale, but we're getting 12 hours because this upcoming episode on Sunday, November 16th will be a 2-hour episode. So make sure you plan accordingly. There's the break on November 23rd, and we'll be back then on November 30th with the podcast and with the TV show. And then season 4 returns after the winter hiatus on March 1st, 2015. Well, we're going to try and sneak in some episodes, maybe some special things before then during that hiatus to feed your once addiction and ours too. But we'll still have lots of fun during all of that. And as always, we'd love to have your feedback for each episode of Once Upon a Time. Email us with the title of that episode on which you're sending the feedback to feedback@oncepodcast.com. You can also call and leave a voicemail at 903-231-2221, or comment on the show notes, go to the website, send a voice message through it at oncepodcast.com. Join our forums as well to communicate your theories and comment on others, starting your own conversations and what you think might be going on over at oncepodcast.com/forums. We would love to have you there. One other thing that you can do to help the podcast, in addition to the donations, but a podcast review really encourages us, and it helps other people find the podcast too. And Lisa P521 left a kind review for us on iTunes saying, "This podcast is the best podcast out there for Once Upon a Time fans. You must give it a listen. Great insight and research." Awesome. Well, Lisa, you are awesome. Thank you very much for writing that for us. If you'd like to write a review on iTunes or Stitcher, go to oncepodcast.com/iTunes or oncepodcast.com/Stitcher. Please connect with us on Twitter at oncepodcast, and I'm Daniel J. Lewis on Twitter at the Ramen Noodle.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin on Twitter at Phlegon. That's PHLEGON.
I'm Erin, and I'm on Twitter at Erin J. Cruz.
This podcast would not be possible without our great team of volunteers. So special thanks to Corbin sorting our feedback, Jack writing our show notes, John Buchanan editing our episodes, Hunter and Jacqueline providing spoilers. You'll hear from them in just a moment. Jacqueline and Matthew Paul moderating the forums, Jacob helping with the screenshots, Keb managing our timeline, Aliascape moderating the chat room, and my co-hosts Jeremy, Erin, Hunter, and Jacqueline hosting this podcast with me. So until next time, remember, you are the queen that Arendelle deserves. And thanks for listening. Once Podcast is a proud member of Noodle.mx Network. Find more of our award-winning and award-nominated podcasts to make you think, laugh, and succeed at Noodle.mx. Big thanks to our donors for this episode. It really helps keep the podcast going because it does cost a lot to run the podcast. Contribute financially to the podcast, we'd really appreciate the support. You can make a one-time donation, an automatic monthly donation, which is what helps us the best, or make a per episode donation. All of your options are over at oncepodcast.com/sponsor. And thank you for your support. Okay. We are done.
It's over. It's over.
Wow, that was a long discussion.
Freaking long.
It was.
Long. I mean, it was good. Super long.
Is this 169?
Yes.
So if the episodes are going to be meatier like that for a while, we're going to have to go back to some kind of hybrid method, scene by scenes.
Yeah. This one did just
Tough.
have a lot of details to talk about.
Yep.
I'm tired just listening to you guys.
I probably wouldn't have fully realized how long it was. Sorry about the feed, guys. When I pause my backup, it pauses for 2 hours. I thought it was good, but it wasn't. I paused it at 8 o'clock. So there was probably a few minutes. My computer was uploading as much as it possibly could.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
That could have been it.
Go
All right. Let's let Hunter and Jacqueline record their spoilers.
Okay. Goodbye, guys. Good night.
Good
Good night,
night.
Aaron.
Good night.
All right. Hunter, Jacqueline, do you need anything from me before you start?
What was that date? You said it was March 1st it's back?
Yeah, 2015.
Okay. I just want to put it in my planner so I
2015.
know.
I guess I don't need to tell you that. You know that. Okay. You ready?
You should have said
Oh.
2016.
Yeah.
It's a long hiatus.
Did you want us to start recording now?
Yeah. Hunter, Jacqueline, go ahead and start your recordings, both of you. And then once you've got yours ready, Hunter, go ahead and clap.
Oh, wait. This is going to fall over my iPad. 1, 2, 3.
Jacqueline? Okay. It's over to you.
Oh, mine stopped recording. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
Okay, trying it again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hello.
Okay, you all set? Let's get this started. Get you to watch your TV show.
Really quick, Hunter,
Yeah.
sounds like you might have the microphone directly in front of you. If you could put it slightly to the side, because I'm hearing a lot of puffs. The plosives into the microphone. I think that was coming from you. And you just muted yourself.
There we go.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that better for you?
Yeah, I think so. And you muted yourself again.
I don't know what's going on. But okay, I'm good.
Okay.
My hands aren't even touching the computer anymore.
All right. All right. It's over to you.
Okay. Hi, Oncers. I'm Hunter Hathaway.
And I'm Jacqueline.
And it's spoiler time for Once Podcast. Episode 408, Smash the Mirror, is airing this Sunday. And don't forget, it's a 2-hour episode. In Arendelle, when the Snow Queen tries to pit Elsa and Anna against each other, it proves more difficult than she anticipates. She takes drastic measures. Meanwhile, in Storybrooke, Emma's powers are out of control, and her fear of hurting loved ones pushes her away from everyone she cares about. In her confusion, Emma turns to Gold for help getting her powers under control. Gold tells her about a way to rid of her powers altogether, and Hook tries to put a stop to it. Meanwhile, Regina struggles with her plan to find the author of the Storybrooke until her quest takes an unexpected turn. Robin Hood recruits Will Scarlet to assist him on a mission, and Mary Margaret and David search for Emma. So,
It's jam-packed.
it is. But to me, it doesn't seem like it's that much. I don't know why. It's one of the shorter synopses I've ever had to read.
Yeah.
For guest stars, we don't have anyone huge. We've got Timothy Weber back as the apprentice, Raph Rogers as Arendelle's servant, Lee Page as Arendelle Guard Number 1, Patrick Rokas as Arendelle Guard Number 2.
And of course
So.
we have Anna, Elsa, Ingrid, and Kristoff.
Yeah, I consider them main cast. Like when they do guest stars, it's all the people that we don't see every week is who I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But this episode is written by David H. Goodman and Jerome Schwartz and directed by Eagle Eglinson and Ralph Hemaker. So, should we talk about the episode?
Yes. We got 2 promos. We got an American and we got a Canadian.
Yes.
And the American one, of course, is very intense, and it starts off with Emma with Henry, and it looks like she's trying to keep Henry away from her, and
Mm-hmm. And all he wants to do is
accidentally
help.
Yes, and accidentally blasts him back with some magic. So that should be interesting. And then we have Emma, of course, going to Rumple, and she wants to get rid of her magic permanently, and Rumple seems quite okay with helping her.
Yes.
And then we do get a little bit of the past, where it looks like Elsa has let Anna out of prison, and Ingrid is trying to drive a wedge between them, and it looks like there might be some kind of betrayal.
Yes.
So,
And then one thing was it this one or was it No, it was this one. Anna rips off the necklace.
and throws it, I think, into the fire.
I didn't see her actually throw it, but then again, these are really short clips. But so considering that they have it now, I don't think it's destroyed, but to me, it was a big deal that she ripped that necklace off her neck.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and then we have the Canadian promo, which was not that great of a quality, but I watched it. I turned like the volume way up on my computer.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of the exact same stuff. It really wasn't that much different. But the Snow Queen really wants Emma to embrace who she is. More about Emma wanting to get rid of her magic and how Gold says that it would get rid of her magic and states it will be forever. Like there's no getting it back.
Yes, it's a
And she
permanent
says,
thing.
Yeah, and Emma says, let's do this.
Yep.
And then, unfortunately, we didn't get any set photos this week.
Actually, they came out just a couple of hours ago.
Oh, of course, after I did
Yeah,
researching.
after you and I talked, they came out, of course. There weren't that many, and they are all of Arendelle of the past. Most of them are of Elsa and Anna. There are some of Ingrid, and she's holding the urn, and it looks like she's trying to do some magic. And then there is one more of Rumple as the Dark One in the past. But other than that, it's just Elsa and Anna. It looks like Elsa is freeing her from prison, and there's kind of a reunion in the past. So probably early in the episode before things get bad.
Okay. I did find an art or 2 different articles where they just kind of talked about what we're gonna find out this week. I don't know if you saw the same ones.
Probably.
But yeah, you seem to see it more than me. But they talked with Elizabeth Eliel, who plays Anna. I know I said her last name wrong. But she says we get to see Anna and Elsa work together in Arendelle and see them become a team and formulate a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing this is how they get the Snow Queen back in the urn.
Yeah, somebody's going in that urn.
Yeah. And
I'm not sure how this is going to
Or-
work.
Oh, yeah, no, that could be when she gets put in right before the curse takes place or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there was also a tidbit from Elizabeth Mitchell, the Snow Queen, and she says, yes, we get to find out what she whispered, and the thoughts that people are saying are fairly accurate.
Yeah, I still think it's Hook.
Yeah. Because what else does he want? Not much.
Right.
So that's all we have for the episode, but we did get some more other juicy details. We will get to see Regina as mayor again, but only in a flashback, and it's the first time when she meets the Snow Queen. So that'll be kind of cool.
I think this might be episode 10.
Okay.
Because I think episode 9 might be another Emma flashback.
Yes. Because we did have some you had a set photo from that one, right?
Yeah, from around the time that they were filming 9, young Emma, played by Abby Rose, was seen on set again with Elizabeth Mitchell. It looked like they were filming at I believe, a bus station. So it's probably the story of Emma and Ingrid and how Emma ended up leaving Ingrid's house.
Yes. And then I found, did you see the article with Lana Parella?
Yes.
She is dressed up as the evil queen.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason she says that she's sitting in Storybrooke dressed up like that is that for a future episode, something happens where she's kind of out of control, and this just kind of happens to her. That's why she's dressed that way. And why she chooses to go back to this evil queen.
I think this has to do with the spell of Shattered Sight. We know that an upcoming episode is in fact called Shattered Sight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to bring out the worst in people. And we actually have some set photos from that episode. And this is hilarious, but we have Granny and the dwarves fighting in the street. And
Are they fighting each other, or are they fighting someone else?
No, they're fighting each other.
Okay.
Like, Granny has Grumpy, I believe, in a chokehold on the ground.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's going to be hilarious.
That is awesome.
So that's why I think Regina is dressed up as the evil queen. I think this is pretty much going to bring out the worst in everybody, and so she's going to be returning to her darkness.
Yes. So you did have some interesting information from your contact up there in Vancouver.
Yeah. So as far as filming goes, the Frozen cast is done. They have left, from what I can tell, and actually they started filming episode 412 apparently today. So they are working on the second half of this season now.
Yay!
Yes, last week I mentioned that there was a rumor about 3 new characters coming to the show, and of course we know that we're getting Maleficent, and we know we're getting Cruella, and my contact was able to confirm that we are in fact getting 3 total characters. Now, my contact couldn't tell me the third one, but I can make an educated guess because we do know that they were filming at an aquarium the past few days, and the only person I can think of who would fit that is Ursula. Because, yeah,
But
Adam and Eddie are pretty close with Yvette Nicole Brown, who played real Ursula in the episode Ariel from season 3.
Okay.
She moderated Comic-Con, and she's been watching the show and live tweeting a little bit every now and then. So I get the feeling we're going to be seeing some Ursula.
Yay, that'd be kind of cool.
But we will know for sure in the mid-season finale, episode 411, we will apparently see this other character.
Unless we find out earlier.
Right.
Because sometimes things like this always seem to leak.
Yes.
And finally, we do have a new episode title for you guys. The first one back. So what did Daniel say? March 1st, 2015?
Yes.
Episode 412. Do you want to say it?
Oh, sure. It's Darkness on the Edge of Town, and it's written by Eddie Kitsis and Adam Horowitz.
Yeah.
And that is a reference to a Bruce Springsteen song.
Go Bruce.
Yeah. So this is the second episode that they've done this for. If you guys remember season 3, the second half picked up with New York City Serenade. That is also a Bruce Springsteen song. So if you want to check out the lyrics, they are on the forums and people are already starting to analyze them. But a big part of the lyrics seem to be about keeping secrets.
And knowing that we have all these villains, that's probably going to be a big thing coming.
Yeah.
So, well, did you have anything else? Did you find out anything while we were recording?
Nope, that's all I have.
Okay. Well, that's all we've got for you this week. I'm Hunter. You can follow me on Twitter at @BitOfPixieDust.
I'm Jacqueline, and you can follow me on Twitter at punk_bunny_87.
Until next time, Oncers. Okay. Done.
What number is this?
169.
Yeah, 169. Jacqueline, I hope you're DVRing your show.
I'm not. I'm gonna have to pull it from someplace after it's finished airing because my mom is actually watching it live. So
It'll fall off a
Oh.
truck somewhere for you.
sure,
Well,
we'll go that
do they
route.
show it right afterwards at 10 or it is 10:30 there?
Yeah.
Do they show it at 11 o'clock there?
Maybe.
Like, 'cause
I'm gonna run
know
downstairs after we're done and check.
I know some of those like cable networks, they'll play the show and then they play it again right afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry we started late. We had a bunch of technical problems at the start.
It's okay.
It's the AIF file you want, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason.
Or Wave, if you have that as an option. They're really the same thing.
No. For some reason, the other, like my actual thing, went into my Dropbox instead of saving to GarageBand. So I just want to make sure I was putting the right one in the folder for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
It went to Dropbox.
Okay.
Yep, mine's in there now.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay.
Have a good night, guys.
You too. Good night.
Good night.
Everyone watching, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to head out. The podcast will publish tomorrow, sometime during the day. And please share us. Especially if any of you are on Reddit, if you could, someone is already sharing our episodes to the Frozen community, but if someone could share our episodes to the Once Upon a Time community on Reddit, that would be great, as well as any of the Facebook groups. I've kind of stopped sharing to different Facebook groups, but if you could share us to there, that would be great, especially like the Once Upon a Time fans or Once Upon a Fan group or page. That's a great place to share us. But all of that just helps us out a lot. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good night. Stay warm. Stay warm, my friends.